Today I was taking one of my pieces to Carnarvon. It was successful when I entered it with two other pieces for the Art Open at Life Full Colour Gallery, and it's a great gallery. It's only small, but it's a really nice little gallery in Carnarvon. It's on a street called Hole in the Wall Street. It's a really interesting little street. It's a really interesting history to it. I'm not going to try to paraphrase the history. I will try to get specific details and read up about it before I discuss it fully. But that's what I was doing today. So making the drive to Carnarvon is something which I am used to doing. But before I actually go to Carnarvon to take my work into the gallery, I thought I would pop in to see the exhibition in Beaumaris. This is an exhibition which I was part of with lots of other artists, and it was based around the theme of plankton. So before I actually get to Carnarvon, I thought I'll pop to there first. And I say pop, it's about an hour away, but it's not a bad drive and I quite enjoy it. So I was keen to see what state it would be in as well. So here it is, absolutely beautiful, amazing work. And I really enjoyed seeing everyone's pieces. Now, I've seen them all. I was there to register them. I was part of the group which received all of the pieces of artwork from the artists, numbered them, photographed them, and logged them, storing them ready to be hung. And then I was there to help install and hang and curate the exhibition on the launch day as well. So I have been privileged enough to be behind the scenes for this exhibition all the way through. But to see it in the gallery without loads of people around, in fact, there was no one around when I went today, which I thought would be the case. The exhibition ends very soon. So I thought I'll pop in and see it when no one's around so that I can photograph and film and no one will be uncomfortable. And that was my intention. So that's what I'm showing you now. I thought the work was fantastic. There are several artists there who I consider friends, lovely people, amazing artists, some really interesting work. So I was glad to be able to take some time to photograph and film several pieces. I was a little disappointed when I first got there to see that the film which I made for the exhibition wasn't playing. And it took me a while to figure out why, because the laptop was working. That's hooked up to a monitor that should be feeding the image through. And I couldn't understand why that wasn't the case. And I asked staff about it and they said, oh, we weren't given instructions of how to operate this piece, which is frustrating because I specifically wrote out and even laminated instructions, which are very simple instructions. The first instruction was do not turn off at the mains, and that's what they'd done for just the monitor, which I hadn't realized. So one of the staff members noticed that, switched it on, and it was working again. I don't know how long that's not been working for, so I'm a little disappointed to think that a lot of the visitors to the exhibition won't have seen my film. But that's one of those problems that I foresaw could have been the case, and unfortunately it seems like it was. I don't know how long for, but for enough time that a certain amount of the visitors won't have seen it. But they will have seen the other amazing work. I do have a drawing in there as well, but I thought I would highlight other artists' work here, and I will hopefully be interviewing some of the artists on my podcast. Now, I've interviewed lots of these artists, but for the Plankton Project. So I will play that film at some point on my channel because it's only about 5 or 6 minutes long. So I'll show that on the channel because it's a nice collaborative effort from all of the artists who were kind enough to let me interview them and then use them. And there was a bit of drama around that as well, which I'm going to discuss in a sensitive way so as not to disclose who I'm talking about. But there was a bit of an issue with one artist and it's caused a bit of a rift between me and this artist, which I can't see being fixed because it's continued. But that is drama which will be spared for another day. For now, I'm here to celebrate the artists who are involved in this exhibition, and that artist was involved in the exhibition, but I'm here to celebrate the artists who are involved in the exhibition and who were generous enough to be interviewed by me and to not then start to become a problem after the fact. So anyway, I'm on the brink of talking about it, so that's what this is. And now on to the daily drawing. And I mentioned this yesterday, I believe, and this is what I've drawn is a still image from one of my favourite films and an incredible horror film. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. An American Werewolf in London. It's an incredible film for several reasons. The acting is fantastic. The casting is superb. The music is incredible and the special effects are sublime. I really do highly recommend the film for all of those reasons. And there's probably more to get out of it. Let me think. The script is really well written. There's a lot of comedy in there, as well as horror, as well as drama, as well as romance. And I'm gushing a little too hard, but this is all sincere. It's one of my favourite films for those reasons. It's such a strong piece of art. And I really appreciate the effect that it's had on all of the world who's experienced it, as well as the culture of cinema. Now, I wasn't going to do a very well-known image from this film, but it turns out that's what I ended up doing. I took loads of still images of American Werewolf in London, and this was just the one which jumped out at me. And it was similar yesterday when I drew an image from The Thing, and I was trying to avoid anything that was too obvious, but I had to do something which really spoke to me. And the one which I ended up doing was quite a classic, well-known image from The Thing, John Carpenter's version of The Thing, which is my favourite. And then similar with American Werewolf in London, if I would have picked a more obscure image, it wouldn't have been as compelling for me to draw. I really like this image itself, so that just ended up being the choice which I picked, because I had several stills that I was looking at, and they're all really nice, don't get me wrong. I really do appreciate the cinematography and the composition of a lot of the images, but this one just speaks so loudly to me because of what's happening in the frame, and it just means so much more being this powerful and striking an image. It's great practice to draw an image like this just because of the position of his face, his mouth being wide open and him kind of shouting and screaming, looking at his hand stretched out. It was really good practice to get the fingers and the digits and the palm done like that, because it's all stretched out. If you haven't seen the film, watch the film, because the palm stretches upwards. It's just a great sequence, and it helps as far as I don't draw hands often enough, and it made me break down each of the elements of the hand as well as the face. I mean, I draw faces all the time, but to be able to show one which is being so expressive is a great lesson in draftsmanship, and that's what I try to improve upon. Now, it's a little bit scribbly as far as draftsmanship goes, but that can be the case, and I am going to try and work on being a little bit cleaner. But as far as the position, I really think it's a great gestural pose. It tells a story to a certain extent, and I just absolutely love it.